Ilia Topuria's last 3 fights may just be the greatest 3-fight run in MMA history. To finish featherweight goats Volkanovski and Holloway the way he did, and then move up a division and take out veteran Oliveira in the first round is nothing short of spectacular. Is this the best 3-fight run ever? Let's take a look. As I'm sure you are aware, these 3 wins just so happen to be over 3 beloved fan favourite fighters that Ilia mercilessly KO'd.
How long do I have to look?
As long as it pleases me.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Picking up in mid-2023, Ilia Topuria picks up a unanimous decision win versus fellow featherweight Josh Emmett. This is the fight that really put him in line to fight for the title next.
In 1 year, I go with the world champion.
And when later that year, Volk tried a second time on short notice to move up and dethrone Islam Makhachev.
Once I lost 13 kilos in 11 days.
Which ultimately proved unsuccessful. It seemed as though come 2024, we would be seeing Ilia and Volk for the belt. And we did. Booked in for UFC 298 in California. The first presser was the seasonal press conference, which was mainly dominated by DDP verbally attacking Strickland.
Your dad doesn't have shit on me.
But they get a face-off at the end. Ilia appearing to try and take the belt, Volk having none of it. Technically not the first face-off between the two. That was after Volk's win against Yair.
The shit he's doing ain't gonna work on me.
Anyway, we move on to the 298 press conference. Volk debuted Old Man Volk, falling asleep, struggling to get out of his chair when Ilia got heated. But Ilia does not seem fazed by this, channels his inner McGregor and was very clear about his intentions.
You all will become our instant fans, so shut the fuck up right now.
We roll into weigh-ins and it was a respectful face-off, both fighters making weight. Now we get to see, is Ilia as good as he says he is, or is Volk going to add another name to his legacy? Come fight night, both men meet in the middle, and the first round is more of a feeling out round. Ilia tries to close the distance a few times, but Volk is landing a few nice kicks. All 3 judges gave this round to the champ. But going into the second, we all know how this ends. Ilia pushes Volk back, lands a combination, and Volk goes down, out cold. Ilia is the new featherweight champ. Coming out of the fight, it was an incredible performance by Ilia. As a Volk fan, it hurt. The only argument some fans had against Ilia at this point was, oh well, Volk was just KO'd by Islam, maybe he hasn't fully recovered yet. I think this is a fair point. Volk probably should have taken some more time off. It was only 4 months after the second Islam fight. If it was me, I'd have preferred 4 years before stepping in with Ilia. So all the credit in the world to Volk, but Ilia is the new champ, proving he is elite level. Volk at featherweight was so dominant. To come in and get the finish was an incredible start to this 3-fight run. So where do we go from here? Who should be his first defense? Yeah, Max Holloway gets probably the greatest KO in UFC history against Justin Gaethje at UFC 300. He's the obvious choice for a few reasons. One, if you take Volk out of the equation, Max probably would have been champ from beating Aldo up to this day. 7 years or so at that point. Also his cardio and his chin. If Ilia can't knock out Max, which no one seemed to be able to do, how will he fare in the later rounds when Max weaponizes his endurance? Everyone was excited for this one. Going into the press conference, Ilia was saying he will do the point down to the mat, but at the start of the fight,
I will point to the ground and you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, you're just trying to
if another fight in the middle, shake the hand and you stay in the middle. If not, run away, I will cut you anyway.
Outside of that, it was pretty standard back and forth. Into weigh-ins, both guys were amped up, and so were the fans.
Yeah, boy.
Max was on every fan's radar following the UFC 300 KO, and was basically unfinishable at this point. It was a totally different sort of test for Topuria. So we go to sleep following the weigh-ins, and we wait for Saturday night. Into the fight we go. Ilia's first defense, he comes out and does do the point to the middle, but Max I guess saves that for the end of fights only. First round is pretty close, Max using a jab well, landing some kicks, Ilia returning with some heavy shots and even gets a short takedown. Into the second it's much of the same, Max with the higher output, just never stops throwing, but Ilia with the more significant punches. Max throws almost 200 shots across these first 2 rounds, which is insane, and you know that's only going to go up if the fight continues. But going into the third, Ilia backs Max up and lands a number of super heavy combinations, drops Max, and finishes him. Yes, a second plane has hit the towers. These 2 wins back to back over the 2 modern featherweight goats, I cannot stress enough just how impressive this is. And to get finishes on both of them, Ilia's power is just something else. The question next was, where does he go from here? Ilia had already spoken about the idea of moving up to lightweight.
I would love to fight with Islam.
Talking with the same conviction about how he'd do to Islam what he did to Volkanovski and Max.
Stop it. Get some help.
But it was certainly the fight I wanted to see. Unfortunately, the MMA gods are cruel. Islam wanted to chase legacy for himself by moving up to welterweight to fight champ JDM. Leaving the lightweight belt vacant, the UFC booked Topuria versus another fan favourite, Charles Oliveira, at UFC 317. And here we go again. Volk, beloved. Max, beloved. Now Charles. But this did raise some new questions for Ilia. Firstly, the obvious, the size. Ilia is not a huge featherweight, bulky but not tall or a long reach for the division. And Oliveira is a big lightweight. If you have ever seen some of the weight cutting footage that his team has released over the years, he's a big 155er. And secondly, how would Ilia fare against Oliveira's grappling? If Charles gets wobbled, he usually just goes to his back and fighters don't want to engage with him at all on the ground. The press conference was pretty respectful, not overly eventful, although at the end you had a mic picking up Ilia saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't want it to be you." No. Wait. Into weigh-ins and both fighters make weight. You can see the size difference here between the two. Then Ilia takes to social media posting himself at a dinner celebrating the victory a day before the fight is set to take place. I mean, this is prime Conor levels of confidence.
Ilia Topuria.
Into the fight we go. Respect from both men. Oliveira lands some kicks to start and pushes Ilia back. Goes for the takedown, but Topuria reverses it, ending up on top. The crowd pop as Ilia tries to separate and Oliveira goes for a leg lock, but can't quite get it. Charles doing some Charles stuff, and then boom, 1-2, right left, Oliveira goes down, out cold, and Ilia wins by devastating KO. Now, not once, not twice, 3 times. Cold as fuck, he does his little coffee celebration, and Topuria beats Charles Oliveira and leaves the new lightweight champion. This really is an insane accomplishment to go through Volk, Max and Charles. Now who's next for Ilia? Likely interim champ Justin Gaethje, a 4th absolute fan favourite fighter. I actually saw a meme that said women have to go through childbirth, what do men have to go through? And the answer being watching your favourite fighter get knocked out by Ilia Topuria. But all respect and credit to Ilia, this run is legendary. Another point is these are not one style of fighter that is tailored for Ilia. They're all different. Volk with the great ground and pound dominance, Max with insane cardio and output, and Oliveira with elite jiu-jitsu and submissions, which only makes this more impressive. One other amazing 3-fight run is Khabib versus Conor, Poirier and Gaethje. I know Justin has a wrestling base, but all 3 of these guys favour standing and trading, a style that Khabib's wrestling lent well to overcoming. But you can't say the same for Ilia. That's why I think he has the edge in this 3-fight run. Regardless of if it's the most impressive consecutive 3 fights, it's 100% in the conversation. Ilia Topuria is a savage of a fighter, and if he gets past Gaethje, I would love to see him versus Islam at 170 in the future. Thanks for watching.